One of the things that I really like about partnerships in clinical trials is that you have all of the right people together in one place. I'm Dr. Amrit Ray. I serve as Chief Medical Officer at Janssen Johnson for our pharmaceutical division, Janssen. It's a real pleasure to discuss with you some of the areas of focus for us, and I think top of the list, particularly when we're discussing clinical trials, is patient centricity. A lot of us today think of patient centricity as a buzzword, but I'm not so sure. I think it's more than a buzzword. I think it's really a different way of thinking, a different way of doing business for all of us involved in the research process. And I think that starts with remembering that patients are at the heart of everything that we do in research. Patients are the reason for research in the first place. It causes us to ask a few questions. Firstly, how can we really innovate in the clinical trials process? How can we involve patients more thoughtfully in the process? And I think secondly, how can we who are involved in the research process be better advocates for the patients that we serve overall? And at Janssen, this type of thinking has certainly influenced the way that we are operating and the way that we are trying to contribute to research. I can give you a few examples. First is when it comes to clinical trials, often we think about involving patients just at the point of informed consent. And I really think it has to go a lot upstream from that, going all the way back to why is a trial even needed, thinking about involving patients right up there in protocol design, in conceptualization. Another area is with respect to listening to patients, and that sounds very simple, actually not so simple, and involves a lot on our part. Listening to patients to ask them, how can we make this easier for you? How can we make this less burdensome for you? How can we make this more efficient? And even at the end of a trial, does this meet your requirements? Are you satisfied with the trial? And how could we do it better? And there's a lot of different aspects of that, but I think the companies and partners who do that well will probably make the biggest contribution to patients overall. Another area that I think is important is with respect to openness and with respect to data sharing. Some of you may have seen the work that Johnson & Johnson has been doing with an independent group, Yale, to share data and to share our clinical trial information with society at large, including with patients. But I think it's more than transparency with data sharing. I think there's also an aspect of education and helping patients to understand some topics that are of high interest, for example, with respect to compassionate use and compassionate requests that often come into researchers around the world. And last but not least, I think all of us in research have a responsibility to make sure that we speak up that little bit more for the patients who aren't always heard as much. And the particular group I would highlight is with respect to children and pediatric research, making sure that pediatric research isn't an afterthought, but it's really woven into the whole way that we think about research and making sure that we're always serving children right up there with the rest of our research. People are busy today, and it's very hard to set aside time to think and to innovate, but there's nothing more important to us. And one of the things that I really like about partnerships in clinical trials is that you have all of the right people together in one place with a dedicated attention to having a high quality discussion. I participated in the executive leadership boardroom, and it was a privilege to have all these great minds together in one place, be able to listen to their ideas, hopefully contribute, participate, and to learn through discussion. Great opportunity.